Well, namaste and good morning. I did a video response to this Nithyananda, one of Nithyananda's devotees, and he wrote back, and I'll read what he has to say. And again, I'm going to answer him. I will take the time to answer and to clarify yet again. Nithyanandam is the way he starts out. Now, if this is not the most absolutely disrespectful thing to come to another guru and to say Nithyanandam, not namaste, nothing that's appropriate. I am not a devotee of Nithyananda, not now, not ever. So please do not come to my channel and say Nithyanandam, okay? Because when he uses it, it's a reference to him. It's not a reference as in one sadhu that comes to another sadhu, and uses a greeting. This is only for his devotees. I am assuring you, I am far from one of his devotees. Okay? So please do not come to my channel and say Nithyanandam. Okay? So he says, just to clarify, Babaji personally gave the title. Now, for those that don't know, Babaji is this mythical person that's not on this planet, that's supposed to be this sadhu that only a few people ever get to see. So what happens is a lot of these gurus say, all my wisdom came from Babaji, because who can go ahead and verify anything? It's a nice, convenient out. Okay? It's a convenient out. Anybody can claim anything. I could claim that all the avatars were attending upon my birth. There were great choruses of angels attending my birth. You weren't there? And if I came out dressed and give all of these flagrant, ridiculous things, saying I'm a god and I'm this, I'm an avatar, I'm all of these things, and did and what he's done is put together a personality cult. And it's not based on truth. It's not based on anything. It's based on them seeing him as something other than what he is and all the claims that he's making. So Babaji did not personally give him a title. Babaji is never seen personally anywhere. He is not an incarnation on this planet. And a lot of people can be doing third eye stuff and can fantasize about a number of things. They will appear to be real, but they are not real. Like Ramana says rightly, when Punjaji came to him and he would play with Krishna every day. And at that point, Ramana says, does he come and go? Yes, he comes and goes. Then it's not real. Point blank, it's not real. So I'm going to give you the same advice that Ramana gave to Punjaji. I will give the same advice directly to Nithyananda. Nithyananda, if you see this video, that which comes and goes, which Babaji comes and goes, is a figment of your imagination. It is not the reality. The only thing that is the reality is Parabrahman when one reaches enlightenment. That does not come and go. The rest of it that comes and goes is dualistic, it's illusional, it holds no water. So I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad tidings, but I am not impressed that he claims he got his personally given a title of Babaji by Babaji. Okay. He said, and I should watch the latest Make Miracles Happen in Your Life. I need to watch that. Right from the Bhagavad Gita. Paramahansa Nithyananda explained that for a realized person, it's just a happening. And you ordinary people, what you ordinary? Don't include me in your ordinary. Because I rest in realization. Okay? What he proclaims he is, I am. Okay? So don't lump me in your ordinary mundane awareness people. Okay? So anyway, he says it's just a happening and you ordinary people see it as violating the physical or social law and call it a miracle. You all have the vitarka logic in your mind. That is why you're not getting it. And all those witnesses have thick criminal records. Swami is innocent. Well, I guarantee you I do not have any criminal record. Not now, not ever. Okay, and as far as vitarka logic means that you are focused on something and investigating it roughly. That is what it means. You are taking it apart and investigating it fully. Okay, maybe you would want to have some vitarka logic and actually put your mind towards something and investigate it deeply. And not just accept everything point blank that's being told to you and swallowing it in the way that you're swallowing it. Because this is what's happened when you have somebody that's a personality cult. They look at him, oh, he looks good, he smiles good, look at his hair, isn't it beautiful? What he sounds, it says on the surface, sounds good to ego, but it has no basis in the reality. I listened to his video this morning. It has no basis in the reality of the scripture that's being said. So, it's from the Bhagavad Gita, which bring up the translation of this, which the Bhagavad Gita says, those whose minds are situated in equanimity, they conquer this world in this very life. Since they are endowed with the equal vision of the ultimate truth and free from all dualities, they are situated in the ultimate truth. So the mind is in equanimity. It's not running here and there. What it takes, again, to be in a enlightenment state is the mind must have dissolved, rested in a nirvikalpa sahaj samadhi. Nirvana, nibbana, blown out. Okay? It's equanimity. It's not going here, it's not going there. And this, then one transcends all of the things that plague minds and mind spin, which cause suffering, which cause one to be locked into past and future and all of the drama that surrounds it. That's all that's being said here. They're free from all dualities. The mind is no longer scattered. They are situated in the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth is part of Brahman, is Brahman, one, not many. So that is what's being said here, bottom line. That's all. You have transcended that lower nature. You have transcended and rest in this equanimity. As the Bible says, you enter that peace that passes all understanding. One enters that peace that passes all understanding. So let's look and see what Nithyananda has to say about it. And this is absolutely unbelievable. He takes this verse, which says you will be situated beyond the worldly spin, in non-duality. That's what it's saying. You will rest, the enlightened state, the enlightened being rests in realization, the mind of equanimity that's no longer scattered and projecting outward, and remains in that realization beyond the pull of the worldly drama. But what Nithyananda wants to say is that it says Nithyananda explains the source of extraordinary powers. Now, what in the world does this have to do with anything that says anything about powers? There is nothing in this verse that says anything to do with powers. And if you read the Bhagavad Gita and you study it and you understand it, it never says anything about developing powers. Never. Never says anything at all about that. In fact, one has to go beyond that. One has to go beyond city powers. It's not about developing powers, never has been. It's about getting to realization, which is the deconstruction of the persona and the illusions and delusions which create this projection of a world. Okay, that's what it's about. But he wants to make it about extraordinary powers, just like this nonsense about Babaji and all these ones that want to peddle gaining powers, city powers, seeing lights, which these things happen as a matter of course in a Kundalini awakening, but these are traps along the way. So you have a guru here that's saying, great, chase after the traps, not understanding what he's saying. 100% not understanding what he's saying. So let's go and see, let's continue to see what they're saying here. When we establish ourselves in the supreme consciousness, in the state of living enlightenment, we can surpass the laws of nature. Well, it doesn't say that at all. It says nothing about surpassing the laws of nature. It says the consciousness will be established in Brahman, in the state of equanimity. What does the state of equanimity have to do with bypassing the laws of nature? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So in the opening words of his mouth, we're already off. We've already not understood the verse and already going off on something and a projection that's not being said whatsoever. Okay? Again, and I'm going to say this point blank. You have well established, beyond a shadow of a doubt, gurus that are enlightened beings, such as Ramana, such as Nisargadatta, such as, many others, They were all subject to the laws of nature. They got cancer, the body's deconstructed, they died. They are still subject to the laws of nature. So for him to take this and say that you are no longer subject to the laws of nature, again, he is setting himself up and projecting something that is not true. 100% not true. Okay? So, in the state of living enlightenment, we can surpass the laws of nature. This is not actually miraculous. It is simply fact. If we embody the divine spirit, we acquire divine abilities and our lives become a reflection of God. Yes, the lives become a reflection of God. But he is talking about a projection of Shakti. In realization, one goes beyond the projections. That's exactly what this said. One goes beyond the worldly drama. Not that one engages more worldly drama, So if you're chasing powers and you're chasing that, you're chasing the lower level. You're not going towards realization, because realization does not go towards that. This is not to say that things do not happen once one is realization. Yes, when one is in realization, things spontaneously occur around them. It's not something that one is attempting to do. It just simply happens. Just as today, one of the devotees, Pila, said that when I was playing cajon and the rhythm of cajon, that it somehow was working to balance her, that she felt a balance in her system. Was I projecting to balance it? No, it happens. Okay, things like that happen around you. It's not something you're attempting to do. Others may call it a miracle, whatever. But again, it's things that just take place. It's not that one is, I've gone so beyond the nature of the universe that I'm creating all of these things to happen. Absolutely not. Just as transmission takes place. I'm physically trying to make a transmission take place. No. But when a guru is in an enlightened state, they're an enlightened being. When the sadhakas come around, and the longer they are there, the more their mind stills when they come in the presence of guru. That's what happens. They're both sitting there going, ah. Is that what happens?
So I was watching it today. I was seeing how busy it was before I was able to do that. And now I see it's quieter now.
It's quieter now.
No question. Then it was completely going.
And it was completely going before.
And of course the thought is, I'm baffled because the only way it quiets is when I'm around Guru.
The only way it quiets is when you're around Guru. Well, this is the advantage of having a guru that's in realization, because there's a spontaneous transmission that takes place that attempts to bring you to where I am.
Right.
What I am, you are. This is what this means. What I am, you are. And Guru works to hit at that seed state level to bring that Brahman forward, to dispel and take away the illusion, to take away the coverings, so that one can find what has always been there. It's not something that's separate from you. If it were separate from you, you would have no life. So let's go ahead and look and see what Nithyananda has to say on this. It says, here in this world itself, the nature is surpassed by them whose intelligence remains impartial. For the Supreme Being that is flawless is the same in all, therefore they remain established in the Supreme. That's his translation of the verse. In this world itself, the nature is surpassed by them whose intelligence remains impartial. The nature, it doesn't say the nature of the laws of the universe, it doesn't say that. It says the nature is surpassed, the nature of that lower consciousness, the nature of being a construct of a meism, with all of its rambling problems and flaws and difficulties that one takes on as suffering. That is transcended. It doesn't say anything, again, about the laws of the universe. Not at all. So it says, for the Supreme Being that is flawless is the same in all. Okay, the Supreme Being that is flawless, that Pada Brahman, that Brahman, which is ever pure, which is untouched by anything that takes place in the transient universe. That is the equanimity that comes, okay? And it is the same in every person. Every person has that seed of being within them. It's just covered over. Okay, so let's go a little further and see what is here. Therefore, they remain established in the Supreme. Yes, if there's no longer mind spin taking place, and this is why I said it's not just having a glimpse of it and then the mind is rerouting and projecting another universe. Okay, the mind has to remain in a nirvikalpa sahaj samadhi, effortless state of extinguished. That's the equanimity. And that one remains in realization. It is effortless at that point. Okay. So that's the explanation of that verse. That's it. That's all that it's saying. That's all that it means. It's not talking about developing great powers or what society's doing. Nothing. It's an explanation of what it is to be within realization. The state of the mind is in equanimity. It's not rising, it's not falling, it's going nowhere. It's in absolute balance. Absolute balance. So now you've heard my explanation. Now we'll see what Nithyananda has to say on this. Good luck for this ride. I hope you know, if I were you, I'd ask for a refund on your money for the ticket that you paid to be on this ride, because he is going to take you on a huge ride, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I'm sorry I have to preface it that way, but I do. So what he says, and thank you to the Nithyananda ashram for putting this all out in script, that it can be read word for word, verbatim, of what he is saying. Now, if you watch the video where he's saying all of this, you'll see that the video is being edited numerous times. You'll see the video shaking in the middle of it. You can see the blips where they've taken stuff out. So even in that, even in his talk, there's not enough clarity to keep the video as it is. They have to redo. And an enlightened being, let me tell you, an enlightened being does not need to have their videos edited. What I say from start to end in clarity. There is no need to edit anything, ever. Okay? That's because the wisdom comes and it is what it is. Okay? But if you have one that's playing games and they're trying to manufacture something around it, you're going to have a lot of editing problems, because it's not coming from the absolute truth. It's not coming from a living reality of that. The living reality of truth is unchanging. It simply is. It's as present to me as breathing air is to anyone. Do you have to think about breathing air? It happens. It spontaneously takes place, just as these talks here spontaneously take place. That's all. So here we go. If we don't begin on this, we'll never go. You can see that I'm not really thrilled with having to read this because it's so erroneous. Here in this world itself, the nature is surpassed by them whose intelligence remains impartial. Well, that's the verse we've already read. So let's move forward. Krishna is too much. Oh, Krishna is too much. What he says, you know, if you're established in the enlightened space, in the intelligence, even now all the rules and laws of nature is changed. Well, what rules and laws of nature have changed? The consciousness has changed. The consciousness is stripped bare of all of the illusion and delusion. But the laws of nature belong to duality. This is talking about non-duality. One will always, the body will always remain subject to the laws of nature because it belongs to the transient realm. Okay? So, Nithya, Satyananda, are you sure you want to continue to hear this? Okay? he says, I have something very important to prove this from my experience. What's he going to prove? But I cannot reveal that now. I will wait for some time and reveal it. So he's setting himself up as something grand. Oh, I got something here, and I just can't reveal it now. Once he got up his sleeve, now he's going to try to manufacture and say it comes, you know, and it'll be nothing. But he's setting these people up for something. Oh, something's going to come. Something's going to come. He's so great. Okay. I'll wait for some time and reveal it. If you're established in the supreme consciousness, all the law of nature is surpassed. And I tell you, wherever you surpass the laws of nature, that is what others claim as miracle. But for you, it is the happening. The happening, which is the happening for unconscious fellow, is crime for society. Where does any of this come out of that verse? Now he's going off a spin about society. And the unconscious ones are a crime for society. This verse is only talking about being established in realization and the change of consciousness that takes place. And so this is what I mean. He takes a verse and he runs and spins a fable around it. Is that verse not enough in what it says? This is the supreme end of the search, is to remain in that equanimity of mind and be out of that suffering persona. But no, he's got to take it and then talk about miracles, and you just wait and see what happens around me later. And you are the unconscious mind and is a crime to society. What a load of nonsense. Nothing is being said that has to do with this verse. So he says, let's continue here, which is the happening for the conscious fellow is flow of nature for society. So you're going to be in the midst of society and just going along. Again, has nothing to do with this verse. And the happening that is happening for the superconscious is miracle for society. The happening for unconscious fellow is crime for society. An unconscious fellow does not plan and do the murder. Now, where does he come up with this? Unconscious fellow does not plan and do the murder. What has this to do with anything? Absolute nonsense. So let's see where else he's going to take people on a ride to. Just yesterday, Krishnamurti, he gave me a news that a few days before a murder happened in Tiruvannamalai. He gave me thorough information on who killed and how he killed. And I asked him, why did he kill that guy? He said these fellows killed some other person and this fellow is an eyewitness. To escape from conviction, they killed another person. Now it's a double murder. So the person who killed two people has not done it consciously. It is done in unconscious. What did he subconsciously kill him? He didn't consciously do it? What, again, has anything to do with realization and remaining in equanimity? How does he get from there off to a bender about local gossip about who's killed who? But this is what people like. They like when gurus, they go and then they go off on some story in fantasy land. And they eat it up. And for what? It has nothing to do with the topic at hand. It has nothing to do with the Bhagavad Gita. It has nothing to do with the ultimate truth. Absolutely nothing. But let's just see where he is going with this. He does not understand the whole thing. So just the happening for unconscious for society is a crime. If you ask the person, why did you do that? The person will tell, I thought if this person is alive and come to court, and that may lead to conviction. Okay, that's true. Now what have you done? You have the double murder, so conviction will be for 2. An unconscious person does not think through. So whatever is happening for him is crime for society. What can you say about the unconscious guru that commits crimes behind the scene, covers it with lie after lies, tells his devotees, if you do adharmic things, because I tell you to, you'll be rewarded. Is this not unconscious? That sits up there and puts out PR spins? This is worse. He's claiming to be conscious. Not only is he claiming to be conscious, he's claiming to be a realized being, and I'm so beyond the laws of nature. So that gives him carte blanche to lie, give deceit. Those are not the actions of one that's in a mind of equanimity. It's very calculated. Story after story after story he puts out, very calculated. All of it very calculated. What's he done now? His lawyer at this moment is off trying to quash the case so that he doesn't have to have the test done. Which if he were this, avatar, he could fully well pass it. So why is he having, his lawyer at the courts trying to get him out of this? Because he's going to be proven to be a liar. One can see from what he is saying here, it has nothing to do with the topic at hand. Absolutely nothing to do with what this verse in the Gita says. Such a spin. Such a spin. So let's just look at the rest of this ride he's trying to promote. Says, gotta find where we're at here. Common understanding. If you are a girl, the moment you're 25, you get married. Oh, no, here, I missed a part. So let me back up here. For a conscious person, like he goes to work, goes for lunch, again works, comes back and sleeps, whatever is the course of the happening for him is the flow and part of society. If you ask him, why are you doing this? He says, that's the way it is. Common understanding. If you're a girl, the moment you're 25, you get married. If you're a boy, the moment you're 27, you get married. Of course, this is city limit. In villages, it's much less. These are all common accepted understandings. What does this have to do with anything? This is the great wisdom he's getting from this verse. If you're 25, you get married in a city. If you're 27, it's the average age for getting married. If you're in a village, you get married younger. Yes, they have child bride and weddings.
Cultural.
At the ages of 3 and 4, sometimes they will pre-marry them. What does this have anything to do with being established in equanimity? What does any of this have to do with superpowers? So then he goes on to say, just yesterday, one media person was asking me, the conscious fellows, the happening is the flow of society, but the superconscious, the happening is miracle for society. Well, where's the question? There's no question in that. It's a statement. So was this supposed guy that's media person that's asking this, is he making a statement? Or is this something that Nithyananda is, yammering about? Because I don't see a question there. There is no question there. Where's the question? So let's go on to see what he said. Obviously, there was no question. He's making another statement. When thousands of miracles are happening around me, I promise you I don't do anything. It's the happening for me. People come and tell me I did not have kids for 20 years. I asked for your blessings. In 1 year, it has happened. I'm so happy. When I see that surprise, I think, you fellow, you did not have trust. You did not have trust. Well, obviously they had trust in somewhere, because that's what allowed it to happen. Exactly. So again, he makes no sense. Yes, people can, at that point, if they have that, make that space, grace can take place. Has nothing to do with Nithyananda. Okay? It's what I tell people here all the time. Make space for grace. Make space for grace. And these things can take place. Brahman, part of Brahman, is the center of being. God only wants the best for all beings. Even the left-handed blessings are for your benefit. Okay? So if you are, sincerity, praying, whatever, and you get yourself out of the way for a moment, it has a chance to work and begin to manifest. That's the way it is. That's all. That's all. So yes, and as a guru, am I physically making things happen? No, absolutely not. It's not like doing magic or something. It's not that at all. I just go and give you a way to make space for this grace to appear and to work spontaneously in your lives. That's all. So let's see what else he says. Because in Kalpataru, when I say that it is the happening for me, but these fellows think they are surprised I am happy. I don't take things for granted, but I enjoy the gratitude in you when you come and report to me. The gratitude part in you I enjoy, but the surprise part I don't enjoy. You should just know that I'm the doer of all these things for you. Why are you surprised that this has happened? Unbelievable. So, but if there is a surprise component, I will just turn my face and walk to the next person. How dare you not have had absolute trust in me that I was going to do this? That is the most arrogant thing I've heard. I'll turn my head and just go to the next person. So again, he goes on to say, let me find where it's at here. When I see gratitude, I feel very happy. I don't take myself for granted. But if there's a surprise part, then you did not comprehend or have trust. That's okay. All I wanted you to do is understand the happening. Ordinary happening for me becomes miracle for you. So how dare you not to have had that faith and trust? If you're surprised that it happens, how dare you? I don't even want to see you now, because, you should have had ultimate faith immediately that it was going to happen, because look how grand I am. Miracles happen around me all the time. And this is why he sits on a throne and wears these ridiculous costumes, because this is his mindset. I'm so much higher, I'm beyond the laws of nature. You can see where he's going with this. Is it based on the humility of the scriptures? Is it based on the reality of the scriptures? No. He's on some fakaka rant about how powerful and fabulous he is. Ridiculous. And putting down the rest of the people. You're so low. Unbelievable. All I wanted you to understand is just happening, ordinary happening for me becomes miracle for you because of the consciousness established in the superconsciousness, because it remains in the superconscious highest intellect. Supreme beings are celebrated as the happening. So he's a supreme being. I'm a supreme being on my throne, and I should be celebrated as your happening. What an egotistical thing. Enlightenment is the birthright of all. And when enlightenment takes place, it's the great equalizer. It doesn't all of a sudden, I should be on a throne and everybody should worship me. Not at all. It's the great equalizer at that point, because one knows at that point everything one has done, it was only by grace. You are not the author and finisher of it. Yes, you have to put in motion the practice. You have to totally surrender. You have to go through that death before death. But it's only by grace. On the altar of truth I lay myself. And one sacrifices that into, and if that sacrifice is accepted, then one enters Parabrahman through that death and into that Parabrahman, life before life and the death before, that remains. But this is the birthright of all mankind. You're not some super being. How dare he say things like that? How dare he be so egotistical? And people are eating it up. He's so great. He's so holy. His holiness. I'm disgusted by what he says. Disgusted by his actions. Because you can see from what he says here, he's beyond any laws of nature. And he truly believes this crap. He can lie through his teeth. He can abuse devotees behind the scenes. Put out 1,000 different spins. Every time you hear it, it's a different spin. It's a different story. He takes a verse out of the Bhagavad Gita that points to the equanimity of mind and runs rampant with it until it bears no resemblance whatsoever to what's being pointed to in the Bhagavad Gita. So, Nithya Satyananda, I hope you've listened to all this, and I hope you've enjoyed it, or if you didn't enjoy it, I hope it plants a seed. Because you're being taken for a ride. He is not what he proclaims to be. You thought that I was going to stumble all over this? My mouth was going to be agog? I'd be so taken in by it. Oh, his wisdom is so vast, I need to go sit at his feet. Well, the opposite happens. Don't come to a genuine guru and ask, because you'll get it. And you're not going to want what you get. Because a genuine guru does not play games. I'm not here to play games. If you ask, I'm going to tell you. Make sure you want to hear it, because you're going to get the truth. I'm not going to candy coat it. So yes, I'll take this time. You wanted me to watch it? I watched it. I commented on it. I took it bit by bit and part by part. So if you are smart, you will not come and ask any more here. Unless you're willing to have your belief system challenged. Unless you're willing to have your tree shaken. Because I will give you truth. Unvarnished truth. So people have asked, and I was asked by another person that had listened to a lot of Nithyananda stuff, please continue to do videos and comment on his things, because I would like to see what he's actually saying, what of it is truth and what of it is not. Here you have it. This is not unusual for any of his things. Like I said, it may sound great to egos that don't know, but he has taken one verse and concocted a huge story around it, which has nothing to do with the verse at hand. Not even the beginning part of it was right. Nothing. Nothing. And this is what you want to chase after? As a guru, this is absolutely sickening. It's heartbreaking to see somebody take a verse and not have any understanding of what it's saying, and to turn it and twist it into such an ill thing that becomes very aggrandizement on his part, puts the rest of humanity totally down, puts himself on an even higher throne, and people are eating it up as being some great, wonderful wisdom, when it's a fabrication from start to end. And this is why I am not going to stop. This is why I continue to speak out against world gurus, because this is what they do. And people do not have experience, they do not have discrimination to know the difference. And what it takes is having gone the whole of the journey and actually resting within realization to have that clarity. So again, this is the difference when one has had, you know, had the gone the whole of the path. And I'm not talking about intellectual. Again, people get caught up in those that are very intellectual. They can quote scripture backward and forward. They can read Sanskrit, and they think it's the same as having done the practical journey. It's not. It's not. What I say is the intelligentsia, these ones, PhD, piled high and deep, you know, parrots. They're parroting. That's all. Parroting. But there's no wisdom there. There's no true knowledge there until one has traveled that path and faced all of the difficulties and gone beyond it. When one has challenged it, when one has seen through the illusion and the delusion of mental spin that keeps mankind in bondage. Okay? So that's what it takes. That's what it takes, and it's a long, hard road. One doesn't wake up and suddenly see Babaji and get a new name. and proclaim this type of nonsense. It takes years of suffering, years of tapasya, years and lifetimes of dedicated effort to come to the point of realization. That's the truth of it. You don't find it on every street corner. But when one gets there, it doesn't make one a super being. It just takes one to reality versus illusion and delusion. So what is so great and high on that? That one at that point sits on golden thrones and wears costumes. That's utter nonsense. So namaste. Welcome. Thank you for asking that question, Satyananda, because you thought you were going to really put one in on me, really going to show me where I'm wrong, where I don't understand. But all you've opened the door to is the opportunity to give others truth and to cut the knots of this spin and show truth from darkness. That's all. Namaste.